Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you all are doing well and ready to learn something new today. As we all know that NCERT have launched its new textbooks for class 9th. In earlier classes, we have discussed all the chapters which are from old NCERT. But from now onwards, we are going to discuss all the chapters which will be from new NCERT books. Yes, so today's our chapter is from the new NCERT book of science, chapter number 1, which is exploring and entering the world of secondary science. So in this chapter, basically you will understand about science in detail. What is science, how science works, and what the scientists do. The first question that will arise in your mind would be, what is science? According to your book, this science is a way of understanding the world carefully. Yes, it helps us to ask questions. Which type of questions? Questions like why it happened, how it happened, what is the proof or evidence for this. Yes, these type of questions science help us to ask, and science help us to observe things carefully, perform experiments, yes, and collect the evidence and proof related to the topic. Yes, and find logical answers for our experiments. Now in this chapter, you are going to understand the way the scientists think about an experiment or about a topic. Yes, so first of all, you have to understand how scientists thought about a topic or about any experiment, and what type of questions arises in their mind about the experiment. Yes, whenever scientists want to understand something, they ask these type of questions. Yes, the questions are, why does it happen? Yes, if scientist is doing something, yes, or observing something, so these questions arises in their mind. What is the first question? Why does it happen? How does it happen? Yes, and what evidence supports it? Means what proof supports it? What is the proof of this experiment? Can it be tested through experiment? These type of questions arises in the mind of scientists while they are doing or preparing any experiment. Yes, so in the introduction of this chapter, we have learned two basic things. What? First thing is that what is science? About science we have discussed, and what scientists think about the experiment. Yes, so let's move towards what we will learn in this chapter. What are the main topic of this chapter? Yes, first topic is that how scientists study natural world. I have earlier told you that in this chapter we are going to study the thinking way of scientists. Yes, so in the first topic we are going to cover how scientists study natural world. Then why observation are important. Observation means how carefully you observe a thing. Yes, sir. Then what scientific models are. Scientific models are the 3D version of something. Yes, like if we have a map and we have a globe. Yes, so globe is the 3D version of earth, so it is known as model. So what scientific models are. Then we are going to discuss why measurements and standard units are necessary, why they are important. After that, we are going to discuss the difference between laws, theories, and principles. Laws are basically the scientific rules. Yes, and theories are why and how it happened. Yes, these are the basically theories, and principles are scientific rules. Yes, sir. Then we are going to discuss how scientists make predictions. Predictions means by just saying, by just thinking. Predictions are those things. How scientists make predictions. Then we are going to study the last topic is why evidence is more important than opinions. Evidence means proof. Why proof is more important than advice or an opinion. Yes. Now let's move towards the first topic, that is how scientists study natural world. Basically in this topic we are going to study the observation of scientists, how they collect the informations. Yes, Scientists study the natural world by simply observing things. By observation, first term is that they observe the things. When they are investigating about something, they observe the things around them, they examine the things basically. Yes, then for that investigation they ask question to themselves that the result is this, so why it happened, how it happened. Yes, and what is the evidence behind it, and they collect information about their investigation, about their observation, about their questions. Yes, they collect information and they look for patterns. They try to understand how nature works by using evidence rather than assumptions. Yes, assumptions means predictions. Yes, they try to understand, every scientist try to understand that why we need evidence rather than assumptions, because evidence is a proof. We need a proof, not assumptions. Yes, science is a systematic process. Systematic process is a process like step by step process. Yes, very systematically, that helps us explain natural phenomena. Phenomena means events. Yes, and make sense to the world of the world around us. Yes. Now let's talk about a very famous astronomer who is mentioned in your book, who is 𝒂𝒂𝒚𝒂𝒎'𝒔. He was a very famous astronomer who studied about stars. While studying about a star, he realized that it is not necessary to notice every single detail about a star. Instead of that, he focused on very important factors about stars. Yes, and he also made a scientific model of a star to understand stars in detail. Yes, this shows that scientists usually prefer that way in which they simplify the complex system to understand the stars more effectively. Yes, and scientific models are very important to understand everything. Now moving toward the next topic, that is why observation are important. Observation means examining the things. Scientists usually do this. Observation is one of the most important tools in science. Yes, scientists begin their investigations by carefully observing things, examining the things, observing the object from which they are investigating, the events. Yes, events and patterns around their investigation. In nature, good observation help the scientist to ask the better question and develop better answers or explanation of that questions. The observation helps the scientist to perform, to help them ask better questions and develop better explanation of these questions. So that's why observation is very important in the life of scientists. Now let's proceed toward the next topic, that is what are scientific models. Actually, you have heard these word models in your exhibition, right? Like if there is exhibition in your school, you have heard these words: models of heart, model of earth. Yes, models and models. What are these models? Actually, model is the 3D version of the reality. It is not real version, but it is a visual version. It is similar version of reality. These are known as models, and these are 3D versions. For example, if I give you the example, now we have to study about earth. But we cannot study the earth by going out of the earth. Yes, we can make a 3D model of it. What is the 3D model of earth? It is globe. Yes. So if we want to study about earth, we can simply study by globe. Yeah. So scientists use these type of models to understand their topics more easily. Now let's read. Scientists often use models to simplify complex situation. Complex situation means difficult situations. Yes, sir. So actually scientists use these models to make their complex situation very easier, to make everything easy to understand, easy to observe. Yes, and focus on the most important details. By these models, scientists can easily focus on the important details. That's why these models are used. A scientific model is not an exact copy of reality. I have told you, it is not exact copy of reality. Yes, sir. I have given you the example of Earth. Globe is not an exact copy of reality. It is a visual or the similar like Earth. Yes, sir. And it help us to understand Earth easily. Yes, sir. It is simplified representation that helps scientists understand and study a problem more easily. Yes, this is the role of scientific models. Now moving toward the next topic, that is why are measurements and standard units necessary for scientists. Measurements means measuring anything. Standard units means kg, kilogram, gram. These are known as standard units. Science requires accurate measurement. Yes, science required accurate measurement and common units like kilogram, meter, these things. Yes, sir. So that scientists everywhere can understand and compare results. Yeah, these measurement and standard units help scientists to compare things. For example, if they are seeing the weight of amoeba and something else, so if the weight of amoeba is something and the weight of they need accurate measurement to compare the weight of them, na. For example, I am giving you a example. Yes, sir. If different units are used without proper conversion, mistakes can happen. Yes, it is a disclaimer or warning, like if we will use different units, if the scientists will use different unit without proper measurement, without accurate things, so mistakes will obviously happen. Yes. Now let's move toward the next topic, that is difference between laws, theories and principles. These three terms are very important in science and are very useful for scientists. Why? Let's understand. First of all, laws. A scientific law is a statement that describes what happened in nature. First of all, let me tell you, nature is not environment, forest, river or trees. No, here nature is related to science. This science world is nature. Yes, sir. Everything related to science. A scientific law is a statement that describes what happened in nature. That means what happened in the world of science, like what happened in the observation, what happened in the experiments, the outcomes. Yes, sir, is the law through repeated observation and experiments. Okay, how we can find laws? Through repeated observation and experiment. It helps scientists predict outcomes under similar condition. Okay, these laws help scientists to predict. Yes, sir, to just predict by saying they can predict the outcomes through these laws with the similar conditions. Yes, so this is the law. Now theories. What are theories? This is the second important term. A scientific theory is a well tested. Well tested means it is tested very well, excellently tested and evidence based. That means it have a proof. It has a proof in it. Evidence based explanation of natural phenomena. Phenomena means events. That means a scientific theory is a well tested have proved explanation of natural phenomena, natural events that explains how and why something happens. Okay, what are theories? Theories are basically that if some experiment has done, for example, by a scientist, so theories help that ki why it happened, how it happened. Theory give the answer of these questions basically. Yes, and it explain with evidence, with proper evidence and proper testing. With proper testing, it tells the explanation of the phenomenon, of the natural events. Okay, and it provides a logical explanation to a scientist. So how it is useful to the scientist? Because it gives the answer of the questions to the scientist of how and when. Now moving toward this third term, that is principles. A scientific principle is a fundamental rule. It is a rule, yes sir, concept or idea that helps explain and guide our understanding of natural processes. Help scientists to apply scientific knowledge to different situations. Okay, principles are the rule, concepts and ideas that help or guide the scientists to understand the natural processes which are happening around them. This make them understand. Yes, sir. And these help the scientists to apply their scientific knowledge to the different situation around them. Yes, sir. So these are the explanation of all these three terms which are also mentioned in your book. Now let's proceed toward the last topic, that is why evidence is more important than opinions. Okay, what is evidence? Evidence is proof of anything, having a proof. Yes, opinion is like advice, not even advice, like you are just saying. Now let's understand this topic with a little bit example. Why evidence is more important than opinion? Okay, now for example, in front of you there are two students who are arguing each other that who have the more chocolates. Yes, one gives an opinion that I have more chocolate. It is an opinion, only he is saying. Instead the second one count the chocolates and said that I have more chocolates because I have 5 chocolates and you have 4, so I have one more than you. That's why I have more chocolates. So that counting the chocolates is the evidence, that evidence or the proof that that student has more chocolates. So that means evidence is more important than opinions. Okay, so same here. In science, evidence is more important than opinions. Why? Because evidence is based on facts, observation, measurements and experiments in science. Yes, the evidence is based on facts, rules, law, principles, theories, observation, measurements and experiments. After that, this is known as evidence. Yes, sir. That can be checked and tested by anyone. Okay, that means obviously when you have evidence, so anyone can check it and prove it. Yes, while opinions are the personal beliefs. Yes, it is the personal belief or idea or just saying. Opinions are like this, personal beliefs or ideas that may not always be correct. Yeah, in the starting I have told you that I have given you example. So that guy who have given the opinion, so it was not true na. That's why opinions may not always be true. Okay, in science, decisions and conclusions are made only using evidence, means proof, because it provides reliable proof for what it is true. Evidence helps scientists understand the world accurately. Okay, tell me how evidence helps scientists. Actually, evidence helps scientists with the accurate information. They provides the scientists the accurate information of the experiment or the outcome. Yes, whereas opinion does not, because here it is written opinions or ideas may not always be correct. They are not always correct. Yes, but evidence or the proof is always correct. That's why evidence is more important than opinions. So this is our last topic and it is also completed. So we have completed our chapter successfully. I have a very small homework for you, that you have to read your whole chapter thoroughly and also go through the examples. This will help you to understand even better. Now we will meet in the next chapter. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe my video. Till then, take care and bye bye.